what will this team, like, what's the word to describe the team? And I said gritty. And I think that was a really a good descriptive word because we're tough and we're working hard. There aren't any egos. And I think they really are accepting coaching and they want to get better. So that's been fun. So I feel like we're going to be a blue collar, gritty. And I said it wouldn't always be pretty because it's not going to be pretty at first. We have a lot of new players, but I think the grittiness and the toughness is something that's going to stand out and you guys will see. So I'm excited for this season.
A short bench this year.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you planning for that? How are you facing the problems with that?
Yeah, so it's funny because when I had a really long bench, I was like, never, before the season, I was like, oh, 15 players, this will be great for practice. At the end of the year, I was like, never again. I did not want 15 players. It is like, it's a lot to manage, and there's like 10 people miserable. But now I'm like on the other end, we're never happy, right? So now I'm like, oh, we don't have enough players. It's hard to practice. But the really devastating thing for me in the beginning, or a month ago, was Montea. Montea's gone through so much, losing her mom last year and just like coming here in December from high school when she would have probably been a McDonald's All-American. And then like for her to get hurt, she was like the one I was like, oh man. And she looked so good and she was going to play a lot this year, was going to have a really good role. But she's doing awesome rehabbing and I'm optimistic about having her for 4 more years. But that does leave us with a short bench. So I think as a coach, I have to make adjustments and practice can't be as long and intense. Really have to use practice players, which we're starting to get. The process of getting them has been a little bit here. So hopefully they're coming in this week and just kind of manage us well because, we can't afford to have more injuries. But I've never had such a short bench. So, we're a team that presses a lot and stuff. The good thing is you probably won't see a lot of transfers because everybody's going to play. So there's a lot of good things. We probably won't lose 5 people. But yeah, I think the great opportunities. If I'm Skylar, if I'm Courtney, Isis, Asali, it's great opportunities for them because we need every single player right now. So in that sense, it'll be a good thing for them.
Yeah, can you give an example of that grittiness?
Yeah, like if you watch us, kind of who brings some of that is Solly. Solly's really tough and physical and kind of like a brute, but then just athletic and just plays hard. I think it's a different level of sense of urgency, and she's more experienced, so she's a little bit older. And then as Mary is really tough and physical, so keeping Esme out of foul trouble will be good. And then Isis played for West Virginia, who West Virginia is very tough. They defend like we do, so she's used to it. Courtney is really fast, known as a tenacious defender. So I think some of it's just the personnel that makes us tough, and they're playing really hard. So I just am seeing that in practice. And then you have the freshmen. You have Brea, who's physical. I'm telling you, Brea is the only post in America that wants to be a post. All the other 5s, they want to be 4s or 3s. And all the other 3s want to be 2s or 1s. And all the 4s want to be a 3-4. Brea wants to be a 5. And so I think that's what makes her special, unique, and she loves physicalness inside and she's tough. So it's exciting.
What was the strategy in the off season for putting this team together? Because it sort of harkens back to some of your original teams, which everybody says reflects you as a player, with the grittiness. Everybody comes in pretty much with a chip on their shoulder, something to prove. And so this is a little different than a team that you maybe put together in the last couple of years.
Yeah, so one of the things I really focused on this off season was, I think as a coach, you don't want to have a ton of turnover. And I think that's just kind of the nature of college athletics, and you kind of have to realize that. But the reality is, if you get really talented freshmen and they don't play as much as they want to play, they're going to transfer. And I think that's just the nature of every top program in the country. So I had to make some decisions in the off season. Do I want to bring like 4 more 5th years? And we could have brought some really good 5th years. Do I want to do that? And if I do that, then what's going to happen is Skylar, Montea, Jada, Brea, I'd probably lose 2 out of 4 and maybe 3 out of 4. And that's just the reality. So when I thought about, okay, well, my best teams and the way we teach, the way we coach, having that continuity and that cohesiveness that takes years to build is more beneficial long term. Now, the sacrifice is you may not win as many games in the interim. So, because if you bring a fifth year that's averaging 20 points a game, she'll probably come here, but then she'll play in front of a freshman. So, I didn't take some transfers, and I took a couple because we had to fill up roster spots, but I didn't take just some that I knew were better than the freshmen because I didn't want to, I recruited Brea for 4 years. I recruited these players for a really long time, and it's hard. So I just wanted them to get playing time, learn, and I knew that in 2 or 3 years that would pay dividends. And this is a really good, talented freshman group. Brea is talented. She has great hands, she has skill, and she hasn't even touched her potential at all. And then Jada is a true point guard, a leader, or she's learning how to be a leader in college, and she already has those qualities. She can shoot it. She's tough. Like she's competitive. Skylar has that Chicago edge. She's got great size. I love lefty wings. She can shoot it well. She's going to be good. And then Montea. So Montea, we're ready, and she's already a month ahead. She's already running and stuff. So getting her ready for next year. So I really wanted to keep that core, and I think that we'll be really good in a couple of years. And I think those freshmen will learn. They'll learn a lot. They'll be thrown into the fire, and they'll get some great experience now. So that was definitely a strategic thing to not lose all your freshmen.
Just talked about Jada and Brea, but it's unusual to have two players coming from the same high school. What is their relationship like? Do they mesh with each other? What's that like? Players from high school.
So, all of us are from San Diego. And actually, it's funny. So Brea was born in Tucson. So Brea is a hometown girl that came back home. So a lot of people don't know that she was born here. Her mom went to school here. So I've known her mom recruited Brea for a really long time. So the funny thing is Brea had her room decorated with Arizona, since she was little from her mom. So bringing Brea back, I thought was a really special thing. And yeah, her and Jada are best friends. And because I recruited Brea so long, Jada went to La Jolla Country Day a little bit later than Brea. And that's kind of how I didn't really recruit Jada years before because she was committed so young, to another school. So I think just she saw me with Brea and they were best friends. So it didn't hurt our situation when she was opening up her recruiting. Then I think wanting to go with one of her best friends was a factor than what we're doing. And my interactions with her over the years, just from going to see Brea and say, hey, it's like running into her. So I think it just made it attractive. They're best friends. They're roommates. They are like Bonnie and Clyde. I don't know. They're just like, they're besties. I don't know what other analogy, but they are, they tell each other the truth. They joke around. If you watch them on social media, they're always doing fun stuff together. They complement each other really well. They have great chemistry on the court. I just think they're great kids, both of them from great families. And it's funny because their parents are really close too. So their moms are like really close friends. And so they're like a big family. So getting the both of them and who they are, what they stand for, the high school program that they came from is one of the best high school coaches in the country. So they're used to winning. They've been coached at a high level. So getting them together was the perfect situation for us.
You talked last year about Elena and how she had so much come out of her shell when you first were recruiting her. Has she gotten to a point, one, where she can be a verbal leader for you on this team, and then this new coaching staff that you put together, what are you looking for in that realm?
Well, Helena, she's always been phenomenal. She is like just a great person, a great leader, was not always vocal. That's just kind of her character, but more vocal than she's ever been. She's not ever going to be like the rah-rah, like yelling in the locker room, but she speaks a lot more. She holds people accountable. She does everything right. She's not someone you ever have to worry about. She's going to be the first one there. She's not ever going to be last. So she does all those things, and that's one of the reasons why she was captain last year. Off the court, I never have to worry about her academically or anything else. So she is someone we're going to really look forward to do big things. And I think for us is getting her to be more aggressive and getting her to take on a bigger role because it's a need of the team. If I ever told Elena go out and shoot 20 shots, she's not going to do it because she's just not going to take bad shots. She's never going to take 2 contested shots, but letting her understand that we need her in a bigger role and we need her to be more aggressive and assert herself in every way. I think she'll do it. So I think you'll see her have her best year yet. And remember, she had a 3-year pro contract to go to and turned that down to stay here. So for me, for every single reason you can imagine. I'm so happy she stayed, and she's definitely a leader in the locker room, off the court, on the court. And I'm sad that this is her last year, because you want players and kids like Helena.
What are you looking for from this coaching staff?
Well, this is a great coaching staff. Like, some of the movement I made in the off season was the best decision I've ever made for this program in my 8 years. The decisions for as far as players and staff. We have a cohesive staff. We have, good people that are aligned with me, and they work hard and share similar ideas, but not everything. We're very different in some of our coaching styles, which I like, because I like different ideas and stuff. Anthony brings us a tremendous amount of experience. He's coached all over the Pac-12 and has different experiences, so he brings different things to the table. And Bet was familiar with her because she was in a different role last year, but did a lot of the same things, did a ton of the recruiting, basketball. So now she's just able to actually coach on the floor, which she's a 17-year experienced coach that has won at a lot of schools and has won at the highest level. Then Salvo, he's not too bad either. No, just kidding. So Salvo just knows what I want, knows what my expectations are, and the things I want. But we challenge each other because we do have different philosophies on a lot of things. But he just knows what I want from a skill development standpoint, and does a really good job. So I'm very, very happy with what we've created, what we've done, and even just as far as support staff, we have a really good video coordinator that he's actually alumni from Arizona too, which was random. I just found that out during the hiring process. But from Columbia, really smart, knows basketball, and just the stuff he's done in the off season is going to really make my job just easier, in the sense that let me look at different things that I didn't have before, and it's been really helpful. So I'm happy that he's here, and we brought some really good people on board, and so I'm very, very happy. And I couldn't ask for a better staff right now.
So you mentioned the potential risk of losing players to a larger bench in the transfer portal. So you had Kaylin Gilbert enter the transfer portal and then come back to Arizona. So what was that conversation like getting her back here?
Oh, I don't ever get someone back. I don't recruit someone back. Yeah, that's not what I do. So I don't have a risk for that. I think it's just the way college athletics are. Every program has a risk for the transfer portal. So I think that's just the nature of what it is. And if your freshmen don't play, they're going to go in the transfer portal. That's like 90%. So Kaylin going in, I think when you're a kid, we're dealing with 17 to 22-year-olds, and that aren't always rational. And I think that the standards and expectations are very high. So every person that enters, especially in a top program, they all want to play 30 minutes like you all do. That's why we're competitive. You want to play the most, you want to score the most, you want to be how it is in high school. And the reality is it's not like that. So if you go to a top team, if you're playing 10, 15 minutes, that's a lot for a freshman. So I think that the expectations aren't always the reality of where you're at. Kaylin is a great kid. Kaylin and I have a really good relationship. But I'm the type of coach, it's like, if you don't feel like you're 110% Arizona, then that's okay. I'm not mad. Then you have to go somewhere where you feel you can give 110%. Just like me as a coach, if I'm not going to coach, if I wake up one day and I am 75% Arizona, then I don't need to be here. And I have a lot of potential, so I can do other things. So I just feel like you're either heart's in it and you're where you want to be, or you're not. So there was a point when I think it was scary for Kaylin, because there were people leaving. And some of that was, I had meetings with people and helped them make decisions to go and be in a different program, which is okay. But I think she was scared of the fact that we're going to be good. And then when you have that situation, then a lot of schools and players, people do a lot of illegal stuff. They start calling your kids and stuff, which is fine. It's good competition. It's the way it is. And so I think she was nervous for a point, and then just wasn't sure. And so my thing was, if you're not sure, then you have to go explore and figure out what makes you happy. So I think as a player, you need to be happy. If it's at Arizona, awesome. If it's not, it's okay. So you have to go where you're happy, because if you're not happy, you're not going to flourish on or off the court. So we had tons of talks. And I said, well, then you have to go somewhere you're happy. So I think when she went in, it was a lot of confusion. And then realized that the places she was looking at didn't really match what she was looking for. And then we had a long conversation. We had a heart to heart, and we talked about things, and there was honest conversation about where she was at, what did she needed to do. And she's done all those things. And so I'm telling you right now, there's probably no other player I would have let come back out of the portal. Because I'm the type of coach, if you feel that and you want to go in the portal, you have to go, and it's okay. And I'm not gonna, I don't know too many coaches, but if you know me and Kaylin and you know our relationship, she's probably the only kid she has like a special place in my heart. And I just let her back in. And I knew she would probably come back in. I was pretty sure because I felt like the things that she was looking for didn't match what was actually happening. And I care about her. So, but what I'm proud of her for is that was a tough decision. When you have a lot of people telling you things and a lot of distractions, tough decision. She made the decision. She came back and she adjusted all the things we talked about and has done even better. So you're going to see a much better player this year. You're going to see a much more confident young woman. You're going to see someone that plays defense. And that was some of our challenge. She has the ability to play defense and she just didn't want to play defense. She never has, but she can. And we all know she can score. She can score better than probably anybody in the country. But she's now taking pride in the other areas which she had to improve on. And I'm proud of her. And so she's going to play a really big role. But yeah, she's, the whole country was calling, like tons of coaches were calling me and they were like, oh, we know how you love Kaylin. And some coaches, when she was in the portal, they were calling me like, why is she in the portal? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't even know, ask her. But she's great. I think you're going to see a big change in maturity and everything from her. So.
We only have time for probably 2
I can stay a few more minutes.
Okay, great.
Isis and Marie, both coming from West Virginia, are together. What would you say like the relationship's like, and how do you think they complement each other?
Yeah, so really good relationship. What I like about, Mike Carey did a really good job at West Virginia as coach that I really respect, a coach that does a lot of similar things that we do. So they know that, and he coaches them a lot tougher than I do probably. He's really a tough coach. So I knew they're coachable, similar style, so they can handle what we do. They were tough, always there. So when we played against Isis was successful. She was strong. She holds her ground. She's super efficient inside. So I knew that they had a relationship. That's not obviously the reason why we recruited her. But I wanted someone to give us more size, experience, and stuff inside. And she's been great. She's a great teammate. She's a good player. She's been in a lot of different programs, so she knows what to expect and knows how she gets it. She gets the whole process and gets how to take a freshman under her wing. So it brings a lot of valuable things that we needed. So I'm really happy with her. I'm happy with everything that she does right now. And I think she'll really help us.
Yeah, I usually ask you who surprised you most, but instead I'm going to ask you who you have on your team, who has taken sort of the biggest jump over the last 4 months, whether it's a returner who we've seen play or somebody coming in who we haven't seen.
So I'd say first, the biggest jump from a returner that you've seen play is Kaylin. I think just maturity, she's like refocused. She's always been hungry. She's always a gym rat, but I think she's more, she's narrowed her focus. So I think that's going to really help her. And she's just improved. Her body, if you look at her, you look at her face, like, damn, she's like, like strong. And she looks great. Like you look at her body and her strength, she's put in work. And like she's been strategic about things. She analyzes everything. So she has like a program, a plan, and she's sticking to it. So that's been happy to watch her maturity or her maturing. I'd say the other person is Skylar. Skylar came and was like really unsure, wasn't confident. You actually won't see Skylar today because she's feeling under the weather. She's a little sick. But she's made the biggest jump in the last 6 weeks, like from improvement on the court. I think has a chance to play a really big role for us and has a chance to play a lot. And when we talked about the decisions I made of not bringing in a whole bunch of transfers, some of that was some stuff I thought about. Because there's no way you're going to keep someone like Skylar from Chicago if she's coming all the way across the country and they don't play. And I think that's hard. So as a coach, you get to a point in the program where you have to make those decisions. But I'd say Kaylin, Skylar, and then Maya. Maya looks really good too. She's really taken her fitness to another level, just really focused on her diet and her eating and her strength. And she looks really good. I think that she's in a good place. And I think those three probably the most. But no one hasn't improved on something, whether it's physically, mentally, just their game. I think they've all gotten, but even as Mary playing with her national team, I think it was something that she took a lot of pride in, and she's looking good. And she's probably one of our most fit right now too. So I think all of them have improved, but those I'd say Kaylin, Skylar, then Maya, then the rest have just gotten better in some areas.
Talk about obviously not bringing in grad transfers and wanting to see younger players play.
Mhm.
How does that like? It seems like you guys are going to be in an underdog mentality this season.
We always have been
Do you-
underdogs.
How do you relish with that?
I don't really care about the rankings and stuff because I think your work shows on the court. Like honestly, so when you think about it, like a lot of times you get all these McDonald's like All Americans and stuff, and I think that some of the rankings and stuff isn't really what correlates on the court. So I think what I'm seeing just in my short 8 years is like there's so many expectations with some of those players. You want the best players for sure, but I think sometimes you can end up getting more out of like a Skylar who maybe doesn't have those accolades, but is hungry, wants to work. It's just different mentality, I think, versus the kind of like you should be good because you're McDonald's, you know. So I'm not focused on the rankings, or where you place and all this and that. More how do you fit with us and the opportunities. And it's not like I'm not going to ever take fifth years. I think just the challenge sometimes is you only have a fifth year for like 6 months. So if you look at everybody transfer, they all have a couple of years. I didn't take any fifth years this year. Even if they're a fifth year, they have another year. So I wanted to make sure that I kept people for a couple of years. So I see the improvement. A lot of times with fifth years, it's only 6 months. So you have to make sure it's the right fit and the perfect fit for your situation because it's really, their focus is really a couple months to go pro. So I think for me, just this year, just given the situation, I wanted to really develop youth. And we're going to be younger, we're going to be underdogs, but I mean, we always have been. I don't know, maybe all but 1 year I've been here, we haven't been underdog. I think it was that year Ari as a senior, we were probably, I think, chosen like second or third. We've always been chosen lower in the Pac-12 and always finished higher. So I think for me, it's just, I don't care. Because I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be top 25 after a month or two.
And then kind of going off of the Pac-12, just maybe in the last year of the conference, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I can't believe it's the last year. People talk about the Big 12. It's surreal to me. I think it's sad. I've obviously have like I'm a Pac-12 person. I played in the Pac-10. I feel like the West Coast isn't the West Coast without a Pac-12 team or Pac-12 conference, and I think there will probably be one in the next few years, in my opinion. But I think that for me, it's also exciting to go to something different. It's exciting to have a different conference, play different teams. I think it's exciting for the community. They get to watch teams they haven't really seen, and I think that's going to be fun. And I'm not too sad about not being in a conference with Stanford anymore. I was like, oh, so sad. I know the ACC is probably like, darn. But better you guys than us. No, Tara just does such a great job. But I really respect Tara and what she's done at Stanford. So that would be probably a game I'd probably try to play every year. And I think we both love women's basketball and both do a lot for women in basketball. So I think we'd probably set something up to play every year, which would be good for our game. But I'm excited about the new challenges. Sad, obviously, it's the last year. Don't know what to expect. But it's funny because like our conference is really, really strong. So to have it probably one of the strongest it's been in years, and then to dismantle is kind of, devastating. But it is what it is. I don't really get too caught up in who we're playing, how. I just am excited for something different, I guess. So I think it's going to be great.
Your last two.
With ISIS,
Mm-hmm.
I know she was injured for a while.
Yeah.
How did she come back last year and you see her completely 100%?
Yeah, she's 100% for sure. I see her getting in the best shape she's been. She does a lot of little things and she plays at her own pace, which is great. So we always talk about poise in the post. She has poise and she's patient. So I like it. And I think that's because of her experiences. That she doesn't rush. She doesn't get rushed. She doesn't get moved too often. And she finishes well. So she's been really good for Brea and going against Brea. But yeah, she looks healthy, strong. She's in pretty good shape. She's getting in better shape. I think she's going to help us. But I like her her pace in the post. She just gathers herself, takes her time, doesn't run. I like that. And not a lot of post players can do that because remember, they don't want to post up. Everybody wants to play outside. But her and Brea like to be on the block. They like to finish. And I like that. And I feel like we haven't had that in a long time. So I'm excited about her. And she's familiar with a lot of things because of the way that West Virginia played. So a lot of things she's done and she's capable of doing and knows. it's really challenging for in this program if you get players, let's say from the SEC that never did like they never heads, they never trapped. Like it's hard for our system because if they're used to just staying in the key, that's not really how we play. So that's when I noticed there's challenges. But she's used to doing all that, so she's adapted really well.
So obviously you're going to play the freshmen
Mhm.
this year. You had indicated that haven't necessarily gone down that path that much in recent years. Is
Yeah.
there something about Jada and Brea that makes them stand out? Do they have certain traits that you're looking
For
that
sure.
make them in that position?
Yes, Jada is a really good floor general. She has natural tendencies to lead, and she has a voice. And a lot of freshmen don't have a voice. They're usually shy, and they don't have the confidence to speak up. Jada has those things, and that's what you have to have as a point guard. She is smart. She's really good at in pick and roll situations, and she can shoot it and score better than people give her credit for. So I think she's going to be a very good college point guard. And I think that some of it, she's been kind of overlooked because she's been like this big NIL, icon since she was young. So I think a lot of times people would overlook her work ethic and her skill, and she actually is pretty skilled. She's not going to be the most athletic, but she's going to be smart. She's tough. She's competitive, and she can shoot it. And I think those things, when I think about good players that weren't the most athletic, I think of Kelsey Plum, who's one of the best guards in the country right now, in the world actually. On USA team, All Star in the WNBA, who I coached and was very similar, and actually from the same high school. So and the same high school coach. So I think Jada is going to be great as a freshman, but she's only going to get better and better. And she's got a great duo and great chemistry with Brea, and that's like that 1 and that 5. That's when high school they were so successful at pick and roll situations. So she's going to do really well for us, and I'm excited. And Skylar too. So Skylar is doing better than I even anticipated as a freshman. So they're going to get opportunities. Now, sometimes that might mean they'll make mistakes, but they're going to learn stuff. They're going to be thrown into the fire, which will pay dividends later. And it might cost us some games early, but I'm in it for the long haul, and hopefully they'll learn fast. And they're learning fast, a lot faster than I thought, because they're all smart. So it's not like someone struggles with concepts or some players like struggle with different things on the court. None of them do. They're all very smart players. So I think that their ability to absorb and learn, it's going to show. So I challenge you guys to watch them in the exhibition, and I want you to watch how they improve. And I think you'll see big jumps every month.